you guys working back into these color scheme paintings. Yesterday we went over kind of going ahead, adding some of your background first. A lot of you figured this out too. If you have a large area that's all one color, this is meant to be kind of a purplish color here, a little bit dark on the bottom. I would go ahead and do that, and I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to eventually put in like these little spines that you see here. All right, and I'm going to kind of meticulously kind of get those in. Also, too, guys, I wanted to kind of go over a little bit with kind of a dry brush blend, adding some details and textures, especially these petals, because you can see that here. But one other thing, too, that I'm kind of looking at that I'm noticing is with my background, it's a little bit more blurry. I've got this brush right here. This is almost like those utility brushes that we used before, too. This is more for like stencils and whatnot, and I have a few of these. I wish I had a few more. But these sometimes work pretty good if you wanted to kind of go in and kind of almost kind of blur out a little bit more of your background. I kind of move this here, get that out of the way. All right, and it just kind of almost kind of softens up a little bit of those sections that kind of connect a little bit of your background that's taking place. Oh, I got a little bit too much there. That's all right. Once again, you can use that hand to kind of take care of those things. That works pretty good. You know, it is. This is kind of a nice little thing to kind of have to kind of, like I said, soften this up, make this look a little bit nicer. Okay, so boom, we've got that. Okay, so I'm just going to put that there. Now, the other thing too is this, you guys, dry brushing some of your highlights and your shadows on here. When you do this, if I look at like this particular part of my petal that I've gotten through here, or even up and through here and up here, if I wanted to get kind of a little bit more of a smooth blend, okay, and let's say I wanted to have a little bit more of kind of a, I don't know what you call it, kind of a lighter, kind of orangish color. What I do is I just get a little bit of paint on my brush, okay? Right now I'm just kind of dry brushing that out. And I can go ahead and kind of go in here. And it's almost like you kind of slowly just add the paint right on the top of this. Actually, I'm going to grab a little more white here. I think white tends to cover really good. So I'm going to kind of smooth, there you go. That kind of just smooths it out a little bit. And I'm just going to go ahead slowly kind of pull it right over the top. And what it does, you guys, is it creates kind of a little bit of a layer, okay, on the top of this. Acrylic, this is a little bit harder to do. Oil, it tends to be a little bit easier. But if you let that dry, and you can almost kind of keep adding these light coats of paint over the top, and it'll gradually get lighter and lighter. All right, looks like it's a little bit light on the top here too, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of dry brush a little bit of the white over on the top over here as well. Just kind of clean up the edges a little bit, boom. So I can go ahead and do this. A lot of Renaissance painters did this back in the day. They call it, I believe it's called smufato. I have to double check that. It's on tape right now. But it was basically translated from Italian meaning smoky. And they created almost kind of like this smooth, smoky appearance with a lot of the skin colors. So that's kind of what you're doing here with acrylic, is you're slowly starting to kind of build up some of those dry brush layers in here. Like down here, I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Ooh, that white goes over the top of that really nicely. We're going to kind of add a little bit more white in through there. And it's a great way of kind of building those details. Now, the other thing too that I have with some of these petals is I've got almost like these little white highlights that are very thin. I'm going to take one of these new brushes here that are very thin right up along here, okay? Look at that, all right? And then right up and through here. To do that, guys, I'm going to take one of these little brushes, okay? Oh, by the way, they do have these little plastic caps over the top. Just take that off. You don't have to put that back on when you're done. That's just for kind of in the shipping and whatnot. They want to make sure that they stay on there. But I'm going to go ahead and take this. I'm going to add, very lightly, this little white kind of strip right through here. So if you have some like thin lines that are showing up on your particular painting, this might not be a bad idea to do, is to take a little bit of white paint or a little bit of a lighter color and kind of add that in, okay? So definitely think about that. And remember too, if it doesn't turn out, you can always paint over it. It's no big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of bring this down a little bit more too. All right, yeah, these are nice brushes. Oh, I love these, okay? So they work out pretty good. And I could go ahead and kind of maybe add a little bit more white in through there. Looks like I could even take this and kind of add a little bit of a darker color in through here. Let's see. Oh yeah, we've got kind of a darker line right through here. So I can go ahead and kind of take that thin brush and just have it slowly kind of taper out, almost kind of dry brush to the center here too. But like I said, if something doesn't turn out, go over the top of it. Sometimes I take my finger, kind of just smooth it in too. But that's not bad. This is what it does. Look at that. It creates a nice little texture in through here. I like this too. That's a nice little highlight. It really kind of separates it out. Now, putting these things in here. You have to make, if you're going to put layers of texture or color on top of one another, guys, and the layers do kind of vary quite a bit, it's not a bad idea to kind of go in here, and let's see, I'm going to start kind of right down through here, just kind of add this in, and once again, just kind of have it kind of fade into this purple, okay? You can go ahead and either use the brush, like a little dry brush technique, or you can kind of use your finger to kind of do this as well. Now, one thing though, too, is it's not a bad idea, even to take a white charcoal pencil, because it'll show up a little bit better on here too, is just to kind of go in here and say, all right, I need to kind of pinpoint where exactly I'm going to have these things. Okay, so I always do this as well. If you're not really sure where something's going to go, or you need to kind of redraw something before you paint it, just grab either a pencil, white charcoal pencil, black charcoal pencil, just kind of get kind of the general kind of shapes of these. Otherwise, you're just randomly putting stuff in here. You're not really sure where they're going, so it's not a bad idea to kind of get a kind of a rough idea as far as where to get this in here. And of course, the chalk or pencil, it's just going to get covered up, and you can barely see it, and it's not going to really be too offensive. All right, and then I can go back in here and take my colors that I have for this, and I can kind of add in my shapes that I have. Once again, I'm just going to kind of slowly kind of pull those down so they just kind of a little bit smaller down through here. All right, and of course they get kind of longer up here. All right, looks like I kind of fill these in a little bit more. I'm going to fill a little bit more in between here. All right. All right. And this is one of those things too, guys, where I think a lot of you get this, is that it's almost like the more layers you guys put on, the better this is going to look. Okay, so if I get these in here, add another one up here, then I can go ahead and grab a little bit of white, okay, kind of lighten it up a little bit, maybe kind of add a little bit of white on the tops of these. All right, make them kind of stand out just a little bit more, especially on the top. That'd be kind of nice. All right, kind of add this in through here, boom. And of course, it's going to be really, really kind of standing out right on the top here. I'm going to make these a little bit longer up here. Okay. All right. Okay. But yeah, it is, guys. It's funny too. I mean, obviously, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to rush through this. But you want to. You want to take your time. You want to go back. You want to let this stuff dry, kind of double check and say, oh yeah, I really need to fill these in right through here. I mean, it's getting really thick up in this area. And they do. They kind of spread out as they get a little bit farther down here as well. And sometimes two colors don't cover very well, so you're going to take two coats. And it's amazing. I mean, just what I have done here, it has taken me quite a bit to do, and I'm maybe halfway kind of covered up, but it's still got a lot of work to kind of go back in and kind of add to this. So take your time, you guys, see what you can come up with, and it should hopefully come along and turn out really nice. Can't wait to see what you create. Okay.